Which Side Podcast is a proud member of the Which Side Media Collective.
This week's episode is sponsored by
The Usual John Pawson.
He's fucking awesome.
Super awesome.
I have never met him in person, but, you know, I'll give you a high five when I meet you in person because I really want to go to New Zealand someday.
He asked that we shout out ourselves for being awesome fuckers who create free vegan anarchist content. And he says that we're the shit.
You know, when I read "you're the shit," I can't ever tell if that's positive or negative. Like, you smell like shit, or shit is good?
Well, you do smell like shit.
Yeah, I mean...
But I don't have any idea how people would know that through the podcast.
But hey, if you guys want to sponsor your own episode, we really could use your help, and we love taking your money. Each episode costs us $10, so that's all we ask. $10 sponsor an episode. We'll say whatever you want.
WhичSidePodcast.com.
This is episode 94.
We're so close to 100.
Do you want to do anything special for our 100th episode?
I think we should, but I don't know. Anybody have any suggestions, they should let us know.
Yeah, if you have any suggestions, let us know.
Maybe
it's coming up pretty quickly, so make it doable.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just buy like a cake from City Cakes.
I really, this sounds ridiculous. You want to know the only thing I really, really want? Like, swag-wise and everything? I want a fucking Which Side mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got stickers now.
We do have stickers. That's right. Thank you for bringing that up.
So,
if you want a sticker, we'll send you a sticker for free.
Just have to send a self-addressed
stamped envelope to our P.O. box, which is listed on our website, WhичSidePodcast.com. We'll have a pop-up right when you go there. So the pop-up will, give it there. If you want to throw in an extra $1 in the envelope, we'll throw in 2 more stickers for free for you. Well, for $1. They're not free at that point because you're giving us $1. But yeah, so send us a self-addressed stamp envelope, get a free sticker, throw $1 in there, we'll throw in a couple more.
And if you're not from here, throw in your local currency. That's cool too.
Totally cool. I'll take anything.
We'll get like 1 peso and be like, damn.
Whatever. If you send me a peso in the mail with a self-addressed stamp envelope, I'll give it to you.
Sweet.
So, who do we have on this week?
Jamie Fowley from Skeptical Vegan, as well as the Real Vegan Cheese Project.
Oh, their Indiegogo campaign.
Yeah.
Go support them. Go to Indiegogo, look it up. Real Vegan Cheese, go to our website, we'll have it there. It's in the fucking description of this podcast. Go there, help them get their stretch goal, and hopefully one day we can taste some sweet, sweet vegan cheese that's almost exactly identical in the genome sequence. It's way sciencey. Do you have any news and events going on this week?
Yeah, I was actually looking some news and events up, and there were just so many anti-police brutality, anti-police militarization demonstrations going on that I couldn't announce all of them.
Really? Why is so many demonstrations going on?
I don't know. That's a curious thing.
I wonder why.
So check out your local area, and if there isn't an anti-police brutality or anti-police militarization demonstration going on, you should make one.
And we were just at our last local one, and we recorded it, and hopefully we'll have that coming out as an episode pretty soon. So check that out when it comes out. August 25th, 1689. 1,200 Iroquois warriors were attacked in Montreal. 1,200. That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
It's 1,200.
What is that on metrics?
1,200.
Correct, Jordan. Good job on that.
Threw me for a second there. Enjoy.
Hey guys,
How's it going?
pretty good.
Good.
Hey, thanks for doing this. We actually had quite a few listeners to say, hey, we want you back on for the Real Vegan Cheese thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So just off the gate, me and Jordan have a question really quickly about the whole project. What the fuck is a bioreactor?
So a bioreactor, basically, it's more or less it's a large vat that you're going to use for growing bacteria or fungus in. So you'll have a large stainless steel or sometimes glass vat. They'll oftentimes have an automatic stir inside, the ability to automatically heat up and cool down on a programmable schedule. And then you're just going to fill it with a growth medium, just some sugary substance, and then you put your yeast in there, and they'll grow up. And it's actually right now the product corn is made from fungus that are grown in giant bioreactors.
Huh. So I've been looking at making my own nutritional yeast, and it sounds like basically the same thing you do, which is just give it that sugary medium and let it grow in a warm place. Just seems like a fancy, awesome thing to do that in.
I've never looked into growing my own nutritional yeast, and I actually should do that. That'd be fun.
There's not a lot of information out there, and so all the information I've got is pretty untested, and I need a good dehydrator with really fine mesh screens, and I think I can do it.
Oh, that'd be pretty fun. Just remember, your homemade stuff isn't going to have the B12 in it.
No, yeah, that's always fortified inside of it.
Yeah.
But
I find a lot of people don't realize that it's not naturally in the in the yeast.
And not all the nutritional yeast gets added in. Like there's some companies that don't add it in.
I know, that's so annoying. I don't understand why would you even sell that without the B12? I love my mac and cheese, but that's a large part of why I started eating it.
Yeah. I mean, I love nutritional yeast, but that's always the reason really behind it is the B12.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get involved in this project?
Well, there's a local DIY biology movement going on here that's really growing, and so there's a place called Berkeley Biolabs where they have open lab nights. They invite the public to come in, learn a basic experiment like plasmid mini preps or gram staining, something like that. Something to introduce people to the field. And, you only pay like $5 for your materials or whatever. And you get to learn this stuff. So while I was there doing a project, I was told about another lab in Oakland, Counterculture Labs, and how some folks there were working on a project to modify yeast to express casein. And this was something that, like, at least 5 years ago, I was thinking about. I knew, like, just the basics of it on paper. It was totally possible. I'm finding out it's a little more complex than that. But years ago, I was dreaming about this project. So once I heard that someone was actually working on it, I just started showing up to the meetings down in West Oakland and talking with other folks. And it just has gone from there.
So are they doing this just because they want to see if they can, or is it because of, vegan or animal rights related issues?
Some of the folks involved in the project are vegans and vegetarian, though not all. The project originally grew out of basically they were searching for a project to do for the International Genetically Engineered Machines Competition, which is this competition. It used to really only be open to like academic teams before, but now it's they just opened it up to community biolabs this year, and it's a competition to make genetically engineered machines or basically to use genetic engineering in creative ways. And this was the project that they ended up deciding on. But they're going to take the project beyond the iGEM competition and continue it. By the time the competition rolls around, we're only going to be part way to like a marketable cheese.
Is that the end goal, is actually going to market?
The end goal is to be able to make an edible cheese. Whether, we really want to market it, profit off of it ourselves, that's something, the team would have to discuss.
So, how can I taste this cheese?
Right now, there's no physical sample that you could actually taste. So far, we've only expressed human capsaicin, which is just one of the casein proteins we need. We're going to need to express a couple more proteins, figure out a way to combine them all correctly so that they form the correct, the correct structures. The way the caseins combine, they actually form this micelle structure, where some of the caseins form a bubble around other ones. And in the cheese-making process, these micelles are lysed open, and this reaction causes the other caseins to suddenly coagulate. So we have to be able to make those exact structures. Then we have to get a vegan replacement for milk fat, which I feel shouldn't be too hard, and a vegan replacement for lactose.
And weren't you using sugar for that?
We're not exactly sure what specific type of sugar we're going to be using. We're looking at a few different ones. The type of sugar we use has to be appropriate both for the molecular structure and has to be an appropriate food for the yeast, or for the bacteria actually that will be culturing our real vegan milk with into real vegan cheese.
So how close will the end product be to being like a cow cheese or a Norwal cheese?
We hope to create a product that would be pretty much indistinguishable. Since we are having to use a replacement milk fat, we'll have to see when it comes to that. But I feel as long as we can get the texture of the fats right, it should be extremely close, if not indistinguishable, from a actual bovine cheese. As far as the narwhal cheese, I would say it's going to be right on, because no one's had that.
Is there?
I have a feeling that it will. If we can get the casein right, it will have the holy grail of cheese, that stretch between the pizza slices that.
Okay, so I was just gonna
touch upon.
That's awesome.
So that's what I was kind of ask. Can you do like an explain like I'm 5 why the casein is so important?
So yeah, the casein is actually one of the things that gives cheese its stretch. As the cheese is stretching out, the casein molecules are kind of grabbing onto each other and forming a chain, and that's what gives that big long stretch. And companies like Daiya have been able to kind of replicate that physical action using mostly starches from things like cassava, but it's not quite right. And we think that by using real casein, we're actually going to get it there.
So how do you get from yeast to casein?
Well, first we're going to take regular baker's yeast. We searched an online database that already has the gene sequences in it. So it's just reading letters off of a page. And we reconstruct those sequences in the lab, and then we insert those sequences into the yeast, yeast then get grown up and they will express the casein.
I mean, I get everything you just said, and it makes sense to me, but my mind is going like, how the fuck do you just resequence genes?
Well, I mean, the way genes work, it's somewhat simple but also complex. On the simple end, we all share the same genetic language. So that's how we can take a sequence from a cow and just throw it into yeast, and if we do it right, it's going to start pumping out that protein. It gets a little more complex. The actual cellular mechanisms between mammals and fungus are different enough that it's not that simple, but for the most part, you can think of it like that. And really all we have to do is find the few sequences that code for the exact proteins we want, and then just move those. If we were doing something like B12, it'd be more complex. B12 is something like 30 genes that control the synthesis of that, whereas each individual protein, theoretically, it's one gene. And so, yeah.
So you said that you first started with human genome sequence?
Yeah, so we got the sequences from the Human Genome Project, and for human casein. We decided to do that because there's a lot of people that are allergic to bovine casein. It's the main cause of cow milk allergy. Mm-hmm. So we thought that people that are allergic to cow's milk, in general, they can drink human breast milk. They were breastfed as babies. So we figure if we can use human caseins or modified bovine caseins, then we can avoid a lot of those allergen issues and possibly even make it slightly healthier for people as well.
So that allergen would still affect people who are allergic to bovine casein, even if it's made from the yeast?
If it's still the same bovine casein structure, then it will. So that's why we either want to modify the structure of the bovine casein or just use a different species, such as human or narwhal, hopefully.
So you brought up being a little bit healthier. This is what confuses me the most about the whole project is, will the end result be healthier than like a bovine cheese, or will it just be a great, cheese?
I have a feeling that we definitely have the potential to make it healthier. What we're doing is we're just creating casein, which I know that there's a lot of information flying around about casein in the vegan community. But from my own research, casein doesn't seem to be the health issue with cheese. Rather, the health issue is the fat content largely. We're going to be able to control our fat content. I personally have a hope that we might even be able to use a fortified fat, something with more omegas. Mm-hmm. And that could have the potential to make it healthier. But our product will definitely have zero cholesterol. We know that for a fact.
Does the cholesterol change any of the texture in the cheese that we know
of? I think we can definitely make a cholesterol-free cheese without changing the texture. We probably will have to use saturated fats to get the texture right. I don't think we're going to be making a cheese with purely unsaturated fats.
So basically what I'm getting is it'll be slightly healthier than bovine, but probably not the best shit you should be eating all the time.
Yeah, although I would say Daya probably isn't something you should be eating all the time, although...
Oh yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
But, I mean, as with everything, moderation's moderation is good. But I do feel that this will beat out regular cheese in the health department. But there's a lot of things still up in the air. So before putting my nickel down completely, I'd have to wait and see.
So yeah, I mean, I don't eat Daiya because I think it's healthy.
That won't stop me from eating it every day.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was a new superfood.
So, what other controversies have you been involved in since we last talked?
Well, mainly just the vegan cheese project. I got invited by Monsanto to come out and see one of their farms. That was actually pretty neat.
Did you go?
Yeah. They have a vegetable breeding facility just up in Sacramento, so it's not too far. I took Greyhound public buses out there, and they had a little event, a small event set up for bloggers. They just took us around the different fields, and we got to meet with a breeder who worked on a specific type of vegetable or fruit, and talk to them about their work. And the vast majority of the stuff they actually showed us was non-genetically engineered stuff. And a lot of stuff they were growing for like global markets. It was actually pretty interesting to see like them talking about how the squashes that we eat here in the U.S., well, the squashes that they grow for Brazil or for Spain, they're actually very similar, but they look quite different just because there's all these cultural expectations in the market that they have to meet. I think one of my favorite parts is probably the watermelon guy. He had some really good watermelons. He even had one he had developed, had a really nice firm flesh. He developed for people who sell cut watermelon, so this watermelon wouldn't bleed as much. And
I've never heard the term "bleed" with watermelon.
Oh yeah, bleed.
Oh, okay.
You know how if you get like a fruit salad, there's all the water at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He's trying to fix that issue.
So now you can officially say you are a shill for Monsanto?
Maybe. I mean, they did try to give me money, which they said was for my travel expenses. I'm going to end up just donating that to either a local food bank, or I'm also looking into something in the St. Louis area. That's where their headquarters is, and I know there's a lot of poverty issues. I mean, there's the whole Ferguson thing going on right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if I could maybe put the money back into that area, that'd be cool too.
So how does one get invited to a Monsanto event like that?
You blog and tweet about genetic engineering enough, and I don't know. It seems they have kind of a PR blitz going on right now, trying to reverse previous years of just having their heads stuck in the sand with responding to the public over controversies and concerns about their products.
Mm-hmm.
So now it seems like they're probably trying to reach out to bloggers. The other bloggers I met on the trip, they were from a variety of areas, like food blogs, environmental blogs, and stuff like that. So yeah, it seems like they're just trying to do a better job of educating people about what they do. You gotta be careful. They definitely have their interests, but I came away with it with learning a little bit more about the non-genetically engineered side of their business, which is so huge, but you hear so little of.
Was there did they invite critics, like bloggers that are critics of GMOs?
Yeah, there's probably a lot out there, I would say. I tend to engage online with GMO critics a lot. obviously, as I said in the previous in my previous interview, I'm going to school for biotechnology, so I may be a little bit biased, but I think that genetic engineering of plants and microbes is something that can help both the vegan community with things like fortifying plants with more omega-3s, B12, making real vegan cheese. But it's also something it's a social justice issue for me for farmers to have the right choices of things to grow that work for their areas. And there are some farmers that have, extreme pest pressures, and they need BT corn or they want BT cotton. And if they want that, I'm not going to take BT cotton away from poor Indian farmers who want to grow it because they believe that it's going to help them. And I'm not going to take away golden rice from people in the Philippines who are going blind from vitamin A deficiency. So yeah, I think that genetic engineering is a useful technology. Right now, there are definitely problems with corporate control, but that's one reason I really like the growing do-it-yourself or DIY bio movement out here.
So you talked about vitamin A for a second in that, and do you think that there is room for other crops to be modified with vitamin A so that you can stop using, the vitamin A palmate so much, and maybe, stop the deforestation for palm trees?
I know that there's a similar project to golden rice that is more geared towards Africa, and it's biofortified cassava. It's the same thing Daya is actually made out of. And I know they're engineering it to have increased vitamin A content or increased beta-carotene. Mm-hmm. And also, it's my understanding that cassava is one of the only staples where you can where protein deficiency is a serious concern. And so they're trying to modify the protein content of it as well to make it a more complete nutrition.
So with that, is that something that will carry on for each generation, like after the plants are reseeded and stuff like that? Or is that something that just they need to get an individual seed for each time they grow?
With cassava being a root crop, I can't say for sure, but I would think with cassava they can actually they can continue to regrow it. And I know with golden rice, it's now under the control of a humanitarian board, and so they're waiving the licensing fees for any farmer making under, I think, $50,000 a year, which in some countries is quite a lot.
So with those licensing fees, would that, by waiving those, would that allow them to replant the seed crop, or just subsidize purchasing new seeds?
I'm actually not sure if it would allow them to replant their crop. That's something I'd have to look into. If they're going to waive the licensing fees, it still may be in a farmer's best interest simply to buy new seeds each year, because even before genetically engineered crops, you had many companies selling hybrid or certified hybrid seeds, which they're grown in fields that are protected from basically genetic contamination. And these so you can edit this out for 1 sec.
Yeah, those seeds, they have like very large buffer zones, don't they, on their crops?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So even for genetically engineered crops, companies were selling certified hybrid seeds. They're grown in large fields with buffer zones to keep them really pure. And that's because if the farmer tries to replant a hybrid crop, it's not going to breed true. With genetically engineered crops, many of them will breed true, but you won't necessarily get your crop isn't going to necessarily be as pure the second time around. It's generally in their best interest, and oftentimes with BT crops, those are constantly getting improved. You hear about issues in Iowa. There's now resistant cornworms. That's not something Monsanto or other breeding companies are ignoring. They're just creating new variants of the protein to stay ahead of pest resistance.
Changing the topic a little bit, have you by chance seen the new documentary Cowspiracy?
I still haven't. I really want to though. Someone offered me a DVD, but with school and work and everything, I just haven't had the time. But I really want to see it. I'm much more of an ethical vegan than an environmental vegan, but I think that there's probably quite a lot to the environmental argument. So
I would just like to get like someone like yours take on some of this, just the statistics that they present in it.
I'd be interested. I'm interested to see whether I feel that they're overstating the case, which I feel is sometimes the case in the vegan community, or whether they are just going straight forward with good science. I know that the name of the documentary put me off a little bit. They've chosen something slightly better, but
you got to sell it.
That's true.
Well, I talked to the guys, and they said that they used the low-end statistics, and that everyone should go and find the sources for themselves and do their own research. And I think that's usually a valid thing to say when you're sure of your statistics.
I know in general, when I engage with folks in the scientific community, seems in general there's widespread acknowledgement of the role of animal agriculture in climate change and environmental destruction. In fact, so many of the scientists I meet are not necessarily vegan or vegetarian, but are meat reducers, however you want to really call that. And whether you really believe that makes much of a difference, it does seem that most scientists I've met recognize this is an issue and that maybe we should do something about it, even if they aren't willing to do something about it themselves. Whereas it's really the environmentalists that I run into that are really hard-headed about the issue and are just, no, if we just raise the animals right, and these specific conditions, then we can all go on, continuing to have our steaks and burgers.
The Rainforest Action Network actually started recently posting statistics about animal agriculture, and they've been getting a lot of negative feedback they've been getting positive feedback as well, but a large portion of negative feedback from the environmentalists saying, like, well, what about fracking? Trying to throw something else. Well, fracking's terrible as well, but it still doesn't use as much water.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can easily be against more than one thing. Or simply just have a nuanced view.
What do you think is the biggest reason that environmentalists kind of shun the animal agriculture side?
I think it's probably just personal habit and social tradition. There's people are really connected to their own personal meat eating habits, and so they try and find a way to rationalize it. And many of them come up with these, these images of, idyllic, 1920s or 1800s style farm, which isn't even that great anyways, and wasn't really environmentally friendly, or really wasn't as environmentally destructive only because of the scale. I feel that they think that they have the solution to just raising animals in organic conditions on small farms, and so they feel that they don't need to address it further than that.
I think that's a good thing that Cowspiracy actually did touch upon, and obviously I still haven't checked all of the statistics on it, but from
just
like what
how much land usage that would take to feed everyone.
Land usage as well as everything else, like you'd literally have to demolish cities and go into Canada as well as South America just to feed the United States.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're talking about grazing land or raising grain, it's a ridiculous amount of land that would be required for that. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're talking about grazing land, you're talking about expanding large swaths of the Midwest into grazing land, which at one point they were grazing land for things like buffalo, but it's been such a long time that there's going to be some pretty big impacts too.
Well, and that doesn't even go into the equation of whether or not that amount of grazing land could feed, the population.
Yeah, that's quite true. I mean, from all just the basic calculations, it's pretty obvious that simply eating the plant products directly ourselves is going to feed a lot more people with a lot less land. Mm-hmm. And you can make arguments about how we can raise sheep in New Zealand on land that's unsuitable for any other crop, but that's not really that doesn't speak to how we as entire society are going to move forward with a global food system. I mean, a few sheep raised in New Zealand, it could only feed a small number of the rich and privileged.
So to switch it up again, since the last time that we talked, you recently went to the Amazing Meeting again, right?
Yes.
Anything interesting that happened?
I met a few more vegans. I talked with some folks down in New Zealand on their podcast about the plants though argument that we always run into. Animals feel pain, but what about plants though? Overall, I mean the event it was amazing. I don't know if there's anything specific I could call out.
If I recall correctly, you were saying that you were organizing a meeting of skeptic vegans there.
Yeah. We had our vegan meetup once again this year. We had a little less than a dozen people show up. We all went out to dinner for some Chinese food. And I discussed what it's like to be a vegan in a sea of mostly hostile, mostly hostile skeptics. I find there's a few friendly folks, but it's pretty hostile towards that.
I really want to try to go next year.
I do too.
Yeah,
I think you both should. It'd be good. Definitely the demographics are starting to skew towards the younger crowd. I meet more and more vegans every time I go. I met this one vegan skeptic that she actually lives here in Oakland. I've never seen her around town or anything, but I ended up meeting her there. So yeah, you'll get to meet a lot of folks and see a lot of really good talks. Bill Nye was pretty cool.
What did Bill Nye talk about?
it was a pretty disjointed talk, actually. It was kind of just an overview of a variety of scientific issues that had been in the news relatively recently. It almost seemed like he didn't necessarily have something prepared too much ahead of time, but I grew up with him. He could sit there and like tell me a story about his last time he went shopping for socks, and I'd be fascinated.
I would worry though. Like, I was really into magic as a kid, and so like a lot of my idols are now the people that are the skeptics that appear there, as well as just like, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, a bunch of other people. I just worry that like my opinion of them would change if I actually met them.
I don't know. I would say Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a nice guy through and through. You know, James Randi. Like, it's worth it to go to just meet him. Like,
Yeah.
People don't realize how friendly he is. He's always just out there on the floor at all hours. You know, you'll see tweets. You'll see random tweets at like 11 p.m. of people giving him hugs. They're like, "What is this? This man should be in bed."
And then like I never really liked Penn, but I always liked Teller. But apparently he's like the same as Penn, just quiet about it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, he doesn't talk much. They did, not this last year, but the year before, they gave a presentation on stage where they both spoke, and it was actually really interesting. But you know, in the end, you know, Penn and I have pretty big political disagreements. Not that he even knows I exist or anything, but yeah, I'm not a fan of a lot of his politics, and especially the stuff he has to say about animal rights, in general. And you know, I think he can be a bit hot-headed. You know, apparently, like, one person got kicked out of his party for making for just an unkind tweet about his band, just saying they didn't like his band or something. Nothing like horrible, but
Wow.
Something you should still probably know better to not, you know, you don't tweet it out while you're at their party, but still.
Yeah.
He did end up getting pretty angry. I remember it being like kind of a little drama issue that year.
What's interesting to me about Penn is that he's a pretty proud teetotaler.
Oh yeah, that's I find that a little bit odd though. Though even though he's like so gun ho on, you know, drug legalization.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I at least appreciate that stance. You know, I can't stand the small government people who will still continually vote for people that, you know, are trying to throw all cannabis smokers in jail. But some of his other stances seem a little odd.
Yeah, that's why that one's always been so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like I disagree with him a lot politically, but at the same time, like, skeptically, I agree with him a lot.
Yeah.
That's because skeptics just being logical.
Yeah.
I seem to remember there being some issue like over climate change. There's been, you know, a number of skeptics that have kind of been more on the climate denialist side of things. I'm not sure if Penn was one of them, but I seem to remember something about that with him as well.
I don't follow him closely enough to know anything.
Their bullshit animal rights episode was bullshit, though.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Awful. Like, oh, we're just going to pick on PETA because this one lady uses insulin. Like, his comment about killing every single ape in the world was, I don't even know where to go with that. That's, I don't know. It seemed like I don't know, it just seemed like he really was not addressing it from an intellectually honest point of view. It was just let's go out and make a show to, skewer the vegans.
And wearing leather and eating burgers was just an obvious like jab, which is it's them being funny, but it's stupid from a.
If I remember, I think
side.
someone confronted him on that issue,
Uh-huh.
and he just flat out said, "Well, we're here to make television entertaining."
That's fair, I guess, but it's still, if you're presenting a show from like an intellectual skeptic perspective, you should probably do that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I've tried listening to his podcast, and I can't. I got through like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I listened to it for a short while, and yeah, it was either uninteresting or grating.
Yeah, it was very similar to listening to like Rush Limbaugh for me.
Oh gosh.
Which, every once in a while, it's good to listen to Rush Limbaugh, just like if you want to get your blood boiling really quickly.
I've got a coworker that puts Alex Jones and stuff on in the background too.
Oh my god.
And I grew up with like my dad would have a shortwave radio on the background, all the time. I don't know what it is about shortwaves, but like they're only the crazy people are on shortwave radio or something. I guess it's because you're just not good enough to like get a regular radio show.
See, now they all just have podcasts like us. Oh, jeez.
So I recently ran into somebody that, well, we were getting our haircut, and there was a truck, and it just had a giant InfoWars sticker on the back of it. And I was like, I gotta snap a picture of this. But they took off before I could, but random story.
All around town here, there's still like 9/11 was an inside job graffiti.
Oh,
just on the sidewalk, just random places, just everywhere.
I'm surprised when I see people repost things from InfoWars, and I'm like, you should know better.
It's really like I have a coworker that every once in a while will send me an article on the Blaze, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah,
on the what?
The Blaze. That's Glenn Beck's news thing.
Oh, okay,
yeah, that one's pretty bad. I see stuff from that one every now and then.
Yeah, I won't even like click the link if it says The Blaze on it.
I was just gonna say, I'm really shocked when people are this like, you probably shouldn't agree with what InfoWars says most of the time, but this article is really good. I'm just like, no, I'm not clicking on it even. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then, like, I'll see, like, something about, like, a case of police abuse or something that actually was real that happened. But you don't share that article. You simply go and find another source for it. You can usually find, like, a mainstream media news source on that isn't great, but is a much better source.
Yeah, I don't like giving them the click-throughs for their ad revenue.
Yeah.
So, last time we talked about Mormonism for a little bit. How have you followed the ordained women movement at all that has been happening since then?
Yeah, I've been following a little bit the excommunications and stuff. Not as closely as I'd like, but
I subscribe to the ex-Mormon subreddit, so I always am reading shit that I shouldn't. Like, I'm like, why am I getting myself back involved in this shit?
It gets you riled up really quickly.
It does.
You'll send me a couple like articles every once in a while and be like, did you fucking read this? I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, you can send those articles to me. I'll give a shit.
All right. Sounds good. But it's bad because that we have family that's Mormon, so I just get riled up all the time because they'll say something and I just go off.
I understand. I mean, some of that stuff is fascinating, and some of the stuff is like frustratingly fascinating. It's like, how seriously you're going to say that? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Just talking about that reminded me. So earlier today, I had a small family reunion get together, and my daughter, she's 7, so she's right about the age where she's supposed to be being prepared to be baptized. And my grandma came up to me and asked me, "Are you, when is she going to be baptized?" And I just looked at her and I'm like, "Grandma, do you really want to have this conversation?" She's like, "No," and walked away.
No, what you do, you let her do it, but you first instruct your daughter. All right, when the water touches you, go.
Scream in pain.
Well, what's funny at this point, it's not like you can just get baptized. Since she's never been to a church, she would have to like go through all the missionary teachings and all that other stuff first.
Yeah, you gotta make sure the person's actually committed.
Yeah. Which there's no way in hell I would subject her to that.
Yeah, I don't fully understand like the parents that are atheists but want to send their kid to the church that they were raised in or something. I can kind of understand like the social aspects and stuff, but unless you're in like a tiny town, there's usually better outlets for that.
Well, we had a little bit of that when my daughter was born because in Mormonism they do a blessing of the baby, which makes them an official member of the church right when they're born.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to do that, and we had no intention of doing that, and both of our parents were furious about it. They really wanted us to do it, and it got to the point where we just said, if it means that much to you, you can fucking do it. You can pay for the dress. You can pay for everything. We just won't be present. And they never did. It was yeah, it was not a fun time. I don't know if you remember that time, Jordan.
I do.
Well, I would hope they would recognize, if there's that much opposition, then like it's kind of a meaningless ceremony at that point.
That's what we told them. We flat out told them it's completely meaningless. Doesn't mean shit to us.
It's all just like ceremony weirdness.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No, I don't get it at all.
Ritual stuff. Last time I went into a church, it was really weird just watching all the rituals happening, like the kids blessing the bread and walking to the doors and all that stuff that no one would understand. That's not Mormon, so it's pointless to talk about it. But
I mean, yeah, it does. I was a little like I knew somewhat to expect when I first went into like a Mormon church for Sunday services, but it was still like it was odd being raised in like a non-denominational Protestant church. And I mean, I can kind of see it because I even went to like Catholic Mass a few times as a kid, and definitely thinking that was really odd with like all the ritual and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think I could ever do the Mormon thing. Can't hang with 3-hour plus services.
Oh God! If you ever really want a treat, go to a fast and testimony meeting.
Oh yeah, those are the best. I love my mom and dad. I know this church is true.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar with the fast and testimony meetings, but
yeah, it's a little bit. I know a little bit about it. It's where people are supposed to get up and bear their testimony.
Yeah. So it's the first Sunday of every month. So it's all the fucking time, and then the congregation's just supposed to almost one by one go to the podium and tell them why they believe in the church. But it's just like funny rhetoric. It's like the same thing one after another. And it's just like a robot after a robot after a robot.
Yeah.
And then randomly you'll get the weird person in there that's like, I know that my child has been under the influence of the adversary, and that is why they're... And so you're like, oh, geez. Yeah. It's good times.
It's actually pretty funny.
I might try to actually attend when they are pretty funny.
They are pretty funny. Yeah.
You probably could start a good hashtag. Shit said at fast and testimony.
Awesome.
It would only be popular here in Utah to other ex-Mormons, probably.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the Sugar Beet?
No. What's that?
Downtown?
It's a Mormon version of the Onion.
Oh no!
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, I think like there's they released a book under the name the Mormon Tabernacle Inquirer, and there's like it seems like there's a different group that now owns like that website or something, and they have like a similar satirical blog, but the original one, if you just search like the Sugar Beat, it's these. I have the book at home, and so it's like reading The Onion, but you will only get the jokes if like you know some deep Mormon knowledge.
Well, the fact that it's called the Sugar Beat makes a lot of sense too, because
You'd have to get that, knowledge also.
yeah,
The reference there.
because Sugar House, Utah is where they used to make sugar from beets.
Which was grown on the experimental crop that was first done here by Brigham Young.
So in science this week, apparently they found life on the outside of the International Space Station.
What?
Did you guys hear that?
The Russians are saying.
That's what the
They
Russians
found
are saying. Let's clarify.
NASA is questioning that. I'm going to kind of side with NASA on this one. That seems a little extraordinary. Although if you read some of the articles, it's a little less extraordinary than some of the headlines are making it seem.
Yeah, it's
What
plankton.
they're claiming is just that somehow there's updrafts that are strong enough from the surface of the ocean to carry like small, like tiny microscopic particles up there. Whereas some of the articles I was seeing was just making it out, these are space creatures that just live out in space and are collecting on the outside. I'm definitely skeptical of the latter. I'm pretty skeptical of the former. I like NASA's explanation that, it could just be contamination because, these things were once on Earth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I do know, and maybe I'm way off base on this, but I've heard of different funguses that can shoot spores into space.
I would want to look into that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have
heard
any
that
credibility
myself.
behind that.
That would sound pretty extraordinary. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Gosh, I used to know what the what escape velocity was, but I don't know. Nature can produce some things that like accelerate pretty fast, but I'm just not sure if like something could maintain like actual escape velocity.
Well,
But
could like a hurricane, possibly, even. I don't know.
I'm not really sure. I don't know. To me, I'm just a little more skeptical of it. There's the whole like raining fishes thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
There's
yeah.
this idea that a water spout could do that, and physically it just can't. So it just sounds like almost the same kind of thing, unless they can come out with anything more than just conjecture on it, like actually show like other evidence that this phenomenon has been observed before, then I'm going to remain skeptical on it. Although they could just be discovering a totally new phenomenon.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I heard, and I'm just like, I'll keep that in my back, and I'll eventually look into it, which I never have.
Oh, I think, ultimately, it doesn't seem like it's that huge a deal that it would have huge implications either way.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the articles are trying to spin it, if true, this would provide more support for, the theory of panspermia. And I would say that's still a little I would still be skeptical of that. But, it totally could be true, but it could not be.
So talking about NASA for a second, did you follow the supposed zero propulsion drives they tested?
Yeah, I followed that a little bit. That one, I think it's a bit incorrect to necessarily say it was NASA. It was my understanding it was
NASA
this
employees, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
guy connected to NASA, but anytime someone from NASA does something, they just say NASA did this.
Well, one of the things that bothered me about the papers is that they came out saying that these were tested, like these are the tests coming out. When looking into it, they were more like the exploratory papers saying, hey, this is interesting, other people please look at this, not publishing results like these are solid results.
Yeah. And it's my understanding that the guy behind it, he has a bit of a history of, going beyond the current science on some things like that.
Yeah, he believes in like faster than light travel. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, unless he can really show some good evidence or even some good equations, I think he's probably overstepping himself a little bit there.
So, getting back to the whole vegan cheese thing, how close are you guys to your next stretch goal, and when does it end, and how can people donate money and make sure that gets happened?
So right now, our next stretch goal is for 30,000. We're about 4,500 away from that now, and we have just a week left our funding. And that stretch goal will allow us to get a nice big bioreactor so that we can actually grow up our yeast on a larger scale.
What kind of rewards are there for donors?
So we've got a variety of things. You can just give us money if you want. A lot of people don't actually realize that you don't have to choose a reward. But we've got stickers. We've got T-shirts. We've got some jewelry that basically we were able to 3D print up some designs. A little beaker with the Real Vegan Cheese logo in it. We have those both in like plastic and metal, and also some actual molecular structures printed out in plastic and metal. And we've got those, like, I think they come in earrings and necklaces as well. And then if you really want to help us out, we've got like higher rewards where we can name a plasmid after you. You can donate and basically ask us a question and we'll answer it on video. You can donate and come and visit us. We'll actually give you a tour of the Bay Area and the lab. And one of our biggest ones is one where we're going to we'll name the first real cheese after you, and you'll actually get a chance to actually have one of the first cheeses. It will be labeled not for human consumption. And then we have if you want to just give us 5 million, we have a reward just called Stop That, where we will cease all work on the project. We'll reimburse everyone except the person that gave us the 5 million, and then we'll go work on something else.
That's my favorite.
Probably something that person won't like either. So, hopefully we'll get another 5 million out of that.
But you could just donate 5 million to take it to market, probably, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have, we're working on, just support from the general public. But if it actually, once we get to the point where we are actually pumping out real cheese, we can look into how we would like to take it with investment or whatever. But it's a large team. There's no one person necessarily leading everything. It's kind of a horizontal model, so we have to meet and talk things over, and I can't speak for everyone.
Does that seem like the overall consensus, though, is that people do want it to be marketable?
I think people definitely want to make an edible cheese. I think how people would like to see it go from there may differ from person to person. Some people are some people don't really necessarily want a commercial project. It's more about science than creating a consumer product. Some people really, it's about creating the product itself. But I think that we're going to get both. We're going to end up getting, some type of vegan cheese out of this, even if it's not exactly what we expect. But I have high hopes for it. And in the meantime, we're going to learn a lot of science. We've got everyone from high school students to university professors or university researchers involved in this. So people of all different knowledge levels. One thing that I like about it, it's kind of got that aspect of a skill share going on. You can just show up, and someone that knows how to do something will show you how to do it. And if you know how to do something, you can show them.
So how can people get in contact with you and follow your work?
So they can follow me on Twitter at Skeptical Vegan. The real Vegan Cheese Project, they can go to indiegogo.com/projects/real-vegan-cheese.
And as you know, we end every episode saying, fuck, shit, damn. So if you could do that for us this week.
Fuck, shit, damn.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one. This week we heard
They Move on Tracks by This Will Destroy You.
Right now you're listening to
Watership Song by Users Atmosphere.
And as always,
El Comandantes, Which Side Are You On?
iTunes. Just rate and review us. It's the easiest way to support this podcast. The easiest.
And if your friend is logged in, rate and review us and subscribe on their account. You're doing them a solid.
That's like giving your friend a high five when they're asleep. They have no idea how awesome you are. And then they'll be like, what is this? I love this. Or they'll be like, what the fuck is this? This is shit. But either way, it's a present.
And it's free, and they can't complain too much. Also, like we mentioned earlier, if you would like some free Which Side stickers, just send us a stealth addressed envelope to
our P.O. Box, which will be listed on our website, or it's P.O. Box 1291, West Jordan, Utah, 84084.
And if you'd like to include $1 in there, we'll send you an additional 2 stickers. So you get 3 stickers for $1.
And probably some other things too.
Yeah, whatever we can fit in the envelope.
Yeah. So if you want a sticker, they're free. We'll send you a free sticker. Just send a self-addressed stamp envelope. And if you want to throw in $1, we'll throw in a couple other things. Like some more stickers and maybe some randomness that we have. Like maybe a zine.
Yeah.
Fuck. Shit.
Dogs.
Damn. What?
Oh, sorry. Damn.
Which Side is produced by the Which Side Media Collective.